Once is a 2007 Irish musical film written and directed by John Carney. Set in Dublin, Ireland, the naturalistic drama stars musicians Glenn Hansard and Mark Targlavy. Collaborators prior to making the film performing under the stage moniker The Swell Season, Hansard and Targlavy composed and performed all of the original songs in the film. Seven Brides for Seven Brothers is a musical film, photographed in Ansco color in the CinemaScope format. The film was directed by Stanley Donen, with music by Saul Chaplin and Gene DePaul and lyrics by Johnny Mercer, and choreography by Michael Kidd. The Music Man is a 1962 musical film starring Robert Preston as Harold Hill and Shirley Jones as Marion Peru. The film is based on the 1957 Broadway musical of the same name by Meredith Willson. The film was one of the biggest hits of the year and highly acclaimed critically. Gigi is a 1958 American Metrocolor musical romantic comedy film directed by Vincente Minnelli. The screenplay by Alan J. Lerner is based on a 1944 novella of the same name by Colette. The film features songs with lyrics by Lerner, music by Frederick Loewe, arranged and conducted by Andrew Previn. Beauty and the Beast is a 1991 American animated musical romantic fantasy film produced by Walt Disney Feature Animation and released by Walt Disney Pictures. The 30th film in the Walt Disney Animated Classics series, the film is based on the traditional French fairy tale of the same name by Jean-Marie Le Prince de Beaumont. Additionally, it is also the third film in the Disney Renaissance period. Funny Girl is a 1968 romantic musical film directed by William Wyler. The screenplay by Isabelle Leonard was adapted from her book for the stage musical of the same title. It is loosely based on the life and career of Broadway and film star and comedian Fanny Brice and her stormy relationship with entrepreneur and gambler Nicky Arnstein. The Sound of Music is a 1965 American musical drama film produced and directed by Robert Wise and starring Julie Andrews and Christopher Plummer. The film is an adaptation of the 1959 Broadway musical The Sound of Music, composed by Richard Rodgers with lyrics by Oscar Hammerstein II. A Star is Born is a 1976 American rock musical film telling the story of a young woman, played by Barbra Streisand, who enters show business, and meets and falls in love with an established male star, played by Chris Christopherson, only to find her career ascending while his goes into decline. Hairspray is a 2007 American musical romantic comedy film based on the 2002 Broadway musical of the same name, which in turn was based on John Waters' 1988 comedy film of the same name. Set in 1962 Baltimore, Maryland, the film follows the pleasantly plump teenager Tracy Turnbull as she pursues stardom as a dancer on a local TV show and rallies against racial segregation. Grease is a 1978 American musical romantic comedy drama film directed by Randall Kleiser and produced by Paramount Pictures. It is based on Warren Casey and Jim Jacobs' 1971 musical of the same name about two lovers in a 1950s high school. On the Town is a 1949 musical film with music by Leonard Bernstein and Roger Edens and book and lyrics by Betty Comden and Adolph Green. It is an adaptation of the Broadway stage musical of the same name produced in 1944, although many changes in script and score were made from the original stage version. For instance, most of Bernstein's music was dropped in favor of new songs by Edens, who disliked the majority of the Bernstein score, for being too complex and too operatic. Swing Time is a 1936 American RKO musical comedy film set mainly in New York City, and starring Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers. It features Helen Broderick, Victor Moore, Eric Blower and Georges Metaxa, with music by Jerome Kern and lyrics by Dorothy Fields. An American in Paris is a 1951 American musical film inspired by the 1928 orchestral composition by George Gershwin. Starring Gene Kelly, Leslie Caron, Oscar Levant, Georges Gutteri, and Nina Falk, the film is set in Paris, and was directed by Vincente Minnelli from a script by Alan J. Lerner. Love Me Tonight is a 1932 musical comedy film produced and directed by Ruben Mamoulian, with music by Rodgers and Hart. It stars Maurice Chevalier as a tailor who poses as a nobleman and Jeanette MacDonald as a princess with whom he falls in love. Meet Me in St. Louis is a 1944 musical film from Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer which tells the story of an American family living in St. Louis at the time of the Louisiana Purchase Exposition World's Fair in 1904.